Your Majesties, Your Royal Highnesses, Princess of Asturias and Infant Sofia. The Princess of Asturias Awards 2023 is declared open. With the permission of Your Majesties, the Honourable Princess of Asturias Awards 2023 laureates will enter the theatre. Princess of Asturias Awards for Communication and Humanities, Nuccio Ordine. On his behalf, her sister Maria Ordine and partner Rosalia Broccolo from Italy have come. Princess of Asturias Award for International Cooperation, Drugs for Neglected Diseases Initiative, represented by its President, Marie-Paul Kieny from France, and the Executive Director, Luis Pizarro from Chile, accompanied by Kavita Singh from India and Juliana Quintero from Colombia. Princess of Asturias Award for Sports. Eliud Kipchoge from Kenya. Princess of Asturias Award for Technical and Scientific Research. Peter Greenberg from the United States. And Bonnie Basler from the United States. Princess of Asturias Award for Social Sciences, Hélène Carrer d'Encausse. Emmanuel Carrer is here on her behalf. Princess of Asturias Awards for Literature 2021. Princess of Asturias Award for Concord, Mary's Meals. Represented by the President of Mary's Meals Spain, Elisa Lex Lowenstein from Germany and Spain. Accompanied by Amina Swedi from Kenya and Panji Kajani from Malawi. Princess of Asturias Awards for the Arts, Meryl Streep from the United States. Princess of Asturias Awards for Literature, Haruki Murakami from Japan.
Tiene la palabra doña Ana Isabel Fernández.
Ms. Ana Isabel Fernández, President of the Princess of Asturias Foundation, has the floor. Your Majesties, Your Highnesses, distinguished and illustrious authorities, dear laureates, ladies and gentlemen, it is both an honor and a responsibility for me to address you at this ceremony for the first time as President of the Princess of Asturias Foundation. I would like to express my gratitude to their Majesties, the King and Queen, and their Royal Highnesses, the Princess of Asturias and Infanta Sofia of Spain, whom we receive here in the Principality yet another year together with Queen Sofia. Today we gather to applaud our laureates. Their efforts, generosity and eminence constitute the proof that they especially deserve both our recognition and our gratitude. The death of two of our laureates, philosopher Nuccio Ordine and historian Hélène Carrer d'Encausse, has deeply saddened us. Both were renowned intellectuals, each with a lucid and profound body of work, committed to the historical values of humanism. Their reflections and thoughts constitute an indispensable legacy that we wish to honor here today. I would like to thank those who believe in our mission and foster it, our trustees and patrons, and all those who, through their commitment, contribute to the Foundation achieving its goals, in particular, the members of our juries. The constant, unparalleled support of the Crown is crucial for us. Our honorary President, the Princess of Asturias, expressed this clearly the first year she addressed a few words to us at a ceremony like today's, pointing out that at home, the words Spain and Asturias are always united with the same force with which history has united them. Asturias is the land that lends its name to her title, which, as she declared, she holds with a sense of responsibility, pledged to the commitment and endeavor of serving Spain and all Spaniards. Your Highness, a new stage in your preparation has begun, and your coming of age is very close. In common with an entire generation of Spaniards, you are living in complex times, but also times that are full of hope and possibilities, provided by the advancement of science, the indispensable contribution of the humanities, the strength of institutions, and the dynamic society of which we are members within the framework of the European Union. The Foundation is committed to accompanying you along this new path, in which your sense of responsibility and commitment, already so firmly felt in recent years, can only grow stronger. We wish to continue to strengthen our mission of disseminating and making the work of our laureates better known to society at large. In short, we wish to bolster the future, consolidating it on the exemplary nature of their work, which can act as an impetus for the women and men of tomorrow. Upon assuming the presidency, I have proposed to preserve and enhance this legacy, as well as the international prestige and recognition that the Princess of Asturias Foundation has achieved over the years.
Que la Fundación Princesa de Asturias ha ido logrando a lo largo de los años. Tenemos un camino de
Here
retos,
today,
pero también de
we
esperanza.
have a lot of hope and challenges, and so with responsibility and sense of duty, with effort, we want to continue helping to build a better society. Thank you very much.
Tiene ahora la palabra el señor Eliud Kipchoge.
Mr. Eliud Kipchoge has the floor, Princess of Asturias Awards for Sports.
Your Majesties, Your Royal Highness, distinguished laureates, ladies and gentlemen, receiving this award tonight fulfills me with honor, as it's an acknowledgement for something that I have believed entirely throughout my career. To some, running is simply an act of physical movement. But ever since I started running as a young boy in Kenya, I knew running meant something much greater than that. See, running is not just a physical movement. Running is a vehicle that has a power to unite us. Running unites people from all different walks of life, whereby different cultures and backgrounds come together to run. This is one of the things what makes running a marathon so special. And I don't mean just for me personally, who is trying to win the race. I am talking about 40,000 other runners who ran the race with me, and above all, the thousands of people in the streets cheering them on. In running, it doesn't matter what background you have. It does not matter what the color of your skin is. You will be cheered on for the entire duration of your race, because we all come together in this moment to celebrate running. Running is a testament that we are one. Running a marathon is a celebration, a moment where you are applauded for the endless hours of devotion, discipline, and passion that you have instilled into your training leading up to this moment. Whether you are a professional athlete like me, a business owner, or a single parent, we all have had to find the time in a busy schedule to pursue a dream. It's because of this that I always say we must make our wall a running wall. Because a running wall is a happy wall, and a happy wall is a peaceful wall. There is a strong parallel between running and our everyday life, where we must focus on our mental health to be happy, where we must overcome challenges that are stored upon us to eventually make it to the proverbial finish line. Because let me share one thing with you tonight. If you finish a marathon, you can achieve anything in life. I can stand here today and say that I am a very fortunate man to have a career that has brought along so many highlights, Olympic gold medals and world records, and a career that has inspired so many people around the world. It's a career of longevity that witnessed a slow and steady rise to the top. I believe that one cannot rush success. It takes a strong approach in both sports and life. Reaching the top requires lots of discipline, countless hours of hard work at a time where it feels easier to stop and rest. It requires to believe in yourself. Sure, a bit of talent helps, but above all, it requires a strong team surrounding you. One cannot succeed alone. We need each other in both life and sports. People often ask me how I celebrate my successes. I can assure you I am not one to party late into the evening with champagne after winning a race. I like to return to my training camp in Kenya and plant a tree instead. Me and my teammates have started the tradition to plant a tree for our successes along the way. As the moment of glory, once you pass the finish line, it's a fleeting moment, but the joy of a growing tree lasts for many lifetimes. As athletes, we train in forest. We need the forest as it's good for our health and for good breathing. I want the world to breathe well, and without forest, you cannot breathe. That's why I am on a mission. I believe we all have a fruitful future ahead of us, but it's a future that we must all foster carefully. To contribute this mission, we have started the Eliud Kipchoge Foundation a few years ago, whereby we focus on two things: environment and education. We must focus on instilling the right sustainability practices to take care of our planet. I want to reach out to help save and grow forests around the world. Education is another important issue and is the key to develop the world in a good way. I am committed to assisting education programs within Kenya, but education is everywhere in the world, and I would like to cross borders. I invite you to join our mission and help bring the right knowledge on these topics to our youth in Kenya and the world. Let me close this evening by sharing my mantra: no human is limited. As we can only achieve greatness if we fully believe that there is nothing holding us back. There are no limits, just what our mind tricks us to believe. So I urge you to see the world this way, to see the world without the limits and see all that is possible. I also invite you to start running, where it does not matter how far or how fast you run, as you will start feeling what I feel. A running wall is a happy wall, and a running wall is a united wall. Thank you very much.
Tiene la palabra el señor Luis Pizarro.
Mr. Luis Pizarro has the floor, Director Executive for the
Clínica sin fines de lucro,
Drugs for Neglected Diseases Initiative, a non-profitable organization, Princess of Asturias Award for International Cooperation.
Your Majesties, Your Royal Highnesses, distinguished members of the jury, most excellent laureates, most illustrious authorities, ladies and gentlemen. To be honest, in an ideal world, I shouldn't be here with you today. And of course, in an ideal world, no patient would be ignored and NDNDI would not have any reason to exist. However, there are millions of sick, neglected, forgotten, invisible people affected by often fatal diseases for which there are no drugs to cure them. They are too poor for the illnesses to be of interest on this side of the world. Like Amasi, an 18-year-old Sudanese girl infected by mycetoma, is a fungus that destroys the legs, the tissues, and many children contract by walking barefoot on infected thorns. Amputation is usually the only solution. Amasi was in a wheelchair. She did not respond well to care, and today we have no more news about her. I could also tell you about Bimal, an Indian worker who lives with HIV and a disease called leishmaniasis. In Spain, we know it as a disease suffered by dogs, but in many countries it affects people. Bimal can no longer work due to his illness, which has plunged his family into misery and forced his 14-year-old son to leave school to find a job to be able to feed his parents and siblings. These are just two examples, among many others, of diseases that day after day kill, disfigure and impoverish not only those affected, but also their communities and their loved ones. Neglected diseases, according to the WHO, affect 1 in 5 people on our planet. 1.6 billion people suffer from one of these diseases every year. Many of them appear in new regions, especially as a result of climate change and population movements. In Spain, for example, there are now patients with Chagas disease or increasingly significant cases of dengue. Chagas disease will soon be one of the main reasons for heart transplants in Spain. Existing treatments are not adequate, and only 1% of those that are infected receive any treatment. However, this unacceptable situation is not inevitable. Today, we do have the option of no longer ignoring these patients. It's true. Look at COVID-19 pandemic. It has shown that the feats that science can achieve with a little political resolve are great. Vaccines were invented in less than a year for a disease that did not even exist some years ago. If our patients are deprived, indeed, of advances of medical research, it is because they were born in the wrong place. They are ignored by traditional pharmaceutical research because they are too poor to constitute a lucrative market. And they are neglected by policymakers because they have no voice to be heard, because poverty marginalizes them to the fringe of society. But I am not here to give you a lesson in morality, and I apologize if I'm being too brutal. But I wanted especially to share with you a message of hope. In DNDi, working closely with partners around the world, and particularly in affected countries, we have managed to develop 12 new treatments for neglected patients in the last few years. It is no exaggeration, I believe, to say that we have saved millions of lives. Together, we are demonstrating that a non-profit research and development model, and one that is based on patient needs, is possible. That is why I would like to wholeheartedly thank the Princess of Asturias Foundation for this award that we are being bestowed with today, which represents a huge sounding board for us to tell about the problem. It is good for the jury, for your majesties that have already acknowledged other institutions that are similar to us. Let me conclude with a story of a story of Brinol, a boy, a 12-year-old boy from Congo. Last April, Brinol was diagnosed with sleeping sickness. This is a terrible disease, which, if not treated, is inevitably ending in death. 20 years ago, when DNDi came into being, the available treatments involved injections of an arsenic-based drug that were so toxic that they killed 1 in 20 patients. Working together with all our partners, at DNDi we have developed a simple, safe and effective pill. Brinol took this pill for 10 days at home with his family. And this is a great story because Brinol is healthy today. He's cured of his disease, and best of all, he's so happy that he's dreaming of becoming a mechanic like his father. It is such a happy story that beyond the case of Brignoles, thanks to the introduction of this simple treatment, we can now today consider the possibility of definitively eliminating sleeping sickness throughout the planet. So as you can see, this is a message of hope. We have come to Oviedo, to this beautiful land of Asturias, where we have been welcomed so well, to tell you that today, in 2023, thanks to the developments and advances of society, the work of our teams and our partners, and thanks to the attention that you draw to us with this award, we all together can bring to an end neglected diseases. Thank you very much.
Con la venia, majestades, altezas, autoridades, señoras
Your
y señores,
Majesties, Your Highnesses, authorities, ladies and gentlemen, the jury that grants the Princess of Asturias Awards, integrated by 160 experts, celebrated the meetings in Oviedo in the months of April, May, and June, after the study and deliberation of 297 candidatures from 43 nationalities that have been considering 3,500 persons and institutions from all over the world have given this current awards. Princess of Asturias Award for Communication and the Humanities, because of advocating for humanities and its commitment with education, because it allowed to transmit to society the relevance of knowledge, which is in learning itself, and because the academic work highlighted the need to recover the richness of humanism for new generations, the jury has decided to grant the award to Nuccio Ordine. The award is received on behalf of Mr. Ordine, his sister Maria, and his partner Rosalia Broccolo. Princess of Asturias Award for International Cooperation. Because in its 20 years of history, they have developed many treatments for neglected diseases because of the research that were neglected by the research and the industry, and because they achieved that the drugs are efficient, affordable, and they improve the health of more than 1 billion people from populations of the poorest and underprivileged places in the world. The jury has granted the award to Drugs for Neglected Diseases Initiative. The award is received by Marie-Paul Quini and the Executive Director, Mr. Luis Pizarro, together with Kavita Singh, Director for Southeast Asia, and Juliana Quintero, researcher of the Program on Study and Control of Neglected Diseases.
Premio Princesa de Asturias de los
Princess of
Deportes,
Asturias Award for Sport,
por ser un referente del atletismo
for
mundial,
being
2 veces
a landmark
campeón
in
olímpico y el
world
mejor corredor de
track and
maratón
field,
de todos los
twice
tiempos.
Olympic champion,
Y
the
porque
best marathon
desarrolla
runner of all
importante labor
times,
social a
and
través de
because
su
the
fundación dedicada a
wonderful
facilitar
social
el
task
acceso a
of
la
his
educación
foundation,
infantil y a la
devoted
protección
to
del medio ambiente,
children
el
education and the
jurado
protection of the
ha
environment,
concedido
the
el
jury
galardón
has granted the
a
award
Eliud
to
Kipchoge.
Eliud Kipchoge.
Premio Princesa de
Princess of Asturias Award for technical and scientific research for their discoveries and understanding of the human microbiome and the communication mechanisms between bacteria, which are allowing for the search of effective treatments against these and innovative therapeutical applications. The jury has conferred the award on Jeffrey Gordon, Peter Greenberg, and Bonnie Basler. Peter Greenberg and Bonnie Basler will collect the award. Princess of Asturias Award for Social Sciences, because she has been one of the most brilliant, original, and distinguished personalities of French historiography and European thought, and for her remarkable contribution about the knowledge on the Soviet Union and Russia, an essential matter for the better understanding of the contemporary world. The jury has conferred the award on Hélène Carrère d'Ancos. Her son, Emmanuel Carrère, will collect the award on her behalf, Princess of Asturias Award for Literature 2021. Princess of Asturias Award for Concord, for its dedication to alleviating one of the most urgent problems in the current world, providing food on a daily basis to more than 2 million children on 3 continents, and for applying an imaginative and efficient management model that stimulates sending children to school. The jury has bestowed its prize on Mary's Meals. Elisa-Lex Lowenstein, president of Mary's Meals Spain, will collect the prize, accompanied by Amina Swedi, director for Kenya, and Panji Kajani, director of programs for school meals for Zambia and Zimbabwe. Princess of Asturias Awards for the Arts, because she has perfected the art of interpretation with complex characters that invite us to think and for thought process and the training of a critical spirit of spectators, for the responsibility in her choice of work, her talent and rigor, and impeccable technical interpretation skills, armed with her gestures, voice, and sight. The jury has awarded its prize to Meryl Streep. Princess of Asturias Award for Literature, for the unique nature of its literature, the universal reach, and the capacity to bring together Japanese tradition and the legacy of Western culture, because through his narrative, ambitious and innovative, he has known how to express some of the biggest subjects and conflicts of our times, reaching very different generations. The jury has bestowed the award to Haruki Murakami.
Tiene ahora la palabra la señora Meryl Streep.
Ms. Meryl Streep has the floor now. Princess of Asturias Award for the Arts.
Uh-oh. Oh. Your Majesties, Your Royal Highnesses, distinguished members of the Princess of Asturias Award Foundation, my esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, amigos. I am so honored to be here this evening, to be included among these accomplished, generous talents in this beautiful hall, which I feel if we listen, we can hear the echoes of the voices of many of our heroes of the 20th and this very young century. It's hard for me to imagine that I am here, because I think sometimes that I have pretended to be extraordinary women all my life, that sometimes I'm mistaken for one. But I am truly, truly grateful for this recognition of the art of acting, which is the work of my life, and the essence of which remains very mysterious even to me. What is it that actors do, really? The actor's shape-shifting, substance-less gift is what makes it hard to assess and measure. What is its worth to us, its value? I know for me, when I see a performance that speaks to me, particularly, I keep it in my heart for days or even decades. You know, when I feel that other person's pain or their joy or I laugh at their foolishness, I feel as if I've discovered something true, and I feel more alive, and I feel connected, but connected to what? To people, other people, to have the experience of being someone else. So what is this magic connection? We know that empathy is the heart of the actor's gift. It's the current that connects me and my actual pulse to a fictional character. And I can make her heart race, or I can quiet it as a scene requires, and my nervous system, sympathetically wired to hers, carries that current out to you, and to the woman sitting next to you, and to her friend. And in the live theater, we can all feel as if we're feeling it together. And it is easier to be emotionally connected to people who are like us. You know, but I've always been interested and pulled to understand that other counterintuitive instinct that we have to understand strangers, people that are not like us, the imaginative ability we have to follow the stories of people outside our tribe as if they were our own. In my own work, I've been criticized, for going too far afield from my own lived experience, from veering too far away from my own truth or my identity, all the accents, the nationalities, and I played a man once. But is it just a stunt to want to wrap my arms around the world, to want to wander and wonder and try to see through the so many different colored eyes and experiences? I'm just a nice middle-class girl from New Jersey. So who am I to presume to wear the shoes of the first female prime minister of the UK, or to imagine being a Polish Holocaust survivor, an Italian housewife, or a rabbi, or the arbiter, the final arbiter of the fashion world? Because that's not my area of expertise, honestly. A great Spanish artist, Pablo Picasso, said, "To imitate others is necessary. To imitate oneself is pathetic." And another great Spanish artist, Penelope Cruz, said, "You cannot live your life looking at yourself from someone else's point of view." Huh? That's my bad Penelope imitation. So I persevere in spite of the critics, because I think it is an actor's job to trespass, to appropriate another's life, to embody lives that are not like ours. The most important part of our job is to make each life accessible and felt to an audience, whether that audience is in a small theater in Malaga, or whether they're watching via streaming media from all around the globe. One rule that actors are taught in drama school is that you must never judge your character, the character you're playing. Judging makes you sit outside her experience. And the bargain you make when you climb into her shoes is to try to see the world through her eyes. Let the audience judge. You make your own best case on her behalf. We are all born with fellow feeling, empathy, a porous shared humanity. Babies will cry just on seeing the tears of another. But as we grow up, we set about to tamp down those feelings, to suppress them, and to supplant them in favor of self-preservation or ideology, and we mistrust and we suspect the motives of other people that are not like us. And so we arrive at this unhappy moment in history. When I was in college, I designed the costumes for Lorca's great timeless play, The House of Bernarda Alba. And in it, one of the sisters, Martirio, says, "History repeats itself. I can see that everything is a terrible repetition." And Lorca wrote this impassioned play 2 months before his own murder, on the eve of another cataclysm, that he could see from so high above, that he had such a distance on events so close to his own throat is extraordinary. That he could express through Martirio a wisdom that could not save him, but serves as a warning to us is a gift to the world. To act in such a play is to give a voice to the dead that the living can hear. It's an actor's privilege. The gift of empathy is something we do all share. This mysterious ability to sit in a darkened theater, strangers next to each other, and to feel the feelings of people that don't look like us, don't sound like us. It's one that we could all do well to take outside into the daylight. Empathy. Empathy may be a radical form of outreach and diplomacy in other theaters of endeavor in our world, in our increasingly hostile and volatile world. I hope we take to heart another lesson that every actor is taught, and that is, it's all about listening. Thank you for listening. Thank you. And thank you for this great honor. Thank you.
Tiene la palabra.
Royal Highness, the Princess of Asturias has the floor.
Majestades, autoridades,
Your Majesties, authorities, ladies and gentlemen, dear award winners, I would like to be able to straightforwardly express what I feel on a day like today here in Oviedo, after having taken the oath to serve Spain before our flag just 2 weeks ago, and after having started my military training, which is allowing me to share a period of ongoing learning with people who have chosen a truly demanding life of service full of personal sacrifices. Furthermore, I will turn 18 on the 31st and will have the honor of swearing an oath of allegiance to the Constitution, with all that means for me, both personally and institutionally. What I can tell you is that I understand very well and I am aware of what my duty is and what my responsibilities entail. As honorary president of this foundation, one such responsibility is to understand and appreciate what our laureates contribute to a society in which many generations live together, with the idea of both ensuring that those who need it most have the opportunity to improve their lives, education and health, and of ensuring that science, culture and protecting the environment are a priority. We can only achieve this with shared goals and individual and group efforts. On becoming acquainted with the immense legacy of Nuccio Ordine, how he managed to humanize humanity and his defense of scholars, I understand why education is the foundation of any society that aims to better itself. While via Meryl Streep's films, I see how a great artist can strip her own self away to make room for her characters and submerge herself in their emotions, and to do so furthermore throughout an impeccable career imbued with freedom, courage and sensitivity to the challenges of our time. Helen Carrera's contribution to the analysis of contemporary history and the efforts of the organization Mary's Meals to feed children in their schools are also example of those who understand that it is necessary to get involved to help improve things. I admire the fact that Murakami has built his own universe with words for decades now, a universe in which East and West are portrayed in urban settings that are often challenging. And I also enthusiastically perceive the eagerness of Kenyan athlete Kipchoge to go beyond his own limits and always continue working to achieve his goal, accompanied by a sense of solidarity. The biologists Gordon Greenberg and Basler astound me with their studies on the bacteria that live in our body and how crucial these are for health and life. While the work of the Drugs for Neglected Diseases initiative is reflected in these words from its executive director. There are diseases that affect a quarter of the world's population but represent only 1% of research. Today, there are people present here on this stage with whom I aspire to feel identified, despite their being some decades older than I am, because I feel that via their actions and through their work, they transmit the hope that guides and inspires us young people. I want to thank all of our laureates, including those who have left us, to thank them for the light they cast on the challenges and complexity of the world in which we live, and for making the awards that bear my name encourage us to responsibly tread a shared, hopeful path without eluding the task at hand. Thank you very much.
Majestades,
Your Majesties, Your Highnesses, speakers of both houses of the Spanish Parliament, presidents of the Constitutional Court and the General Council of the Judiciary, Vice President of the Government of Spain and ministers, President of the Regional Government of the Principality of Asturias, Speaker of the Regional Parliament of the Principality of Asturias, delegates of the Central Government in Asturias, Mayor of Oviedo, President of the Princess of Asturias Foundation, that is today starting her career in the foundation with this edition, authorities, trustees, laureates from other editions, laureates from this year, ladies and gentlemen. This solemn ceremony that we hold every autumn symbolizes the goals that the Princess of Asturias Foundation set itself 43 years ago, to pay tribute through its awards to those who, via their work, serves as an example for one and all of the most exalted values. That is why this evening we once again feel especially moved and grateful for the significance, impact and contribution of our laureates to a wiser, fairer and more splendid world. Whatever the circumstances of the present moment may be, the work of each of them always gives us reasons for hope. Reasons to continue to have faith in humanity and in our ability to move forward, and thus not give in to the bleakest auguries. The Queen, as well as our daughters, once again feel the warm, open-hearted welcome that you always offer us in this land. We most sincerely appreciate the affection and hospitality of the Asturian people. We very especially want to think about two of our laureates who sadly passed away a few months ago and whose absence we feel so deeply. Nucho Ordine in Communication and Humanities and Hélène Carrère in Social Sciences. Members of the families Maria, Rosalia, Manuel, who accompany us today, thank you for being here. They do remind us the magnitude and the merit of their intellectual work. Nucho Ordine was looking forward to traveling to Asturias to receive this award. He loved Spain, its history and culture, a sentiment he acknowledged whenever the opportunity arose. We take comfort in knowing that we will continue to enjoy his great legacy. The best way to pay tribute to him is to bear in mind his advice. Let us delve into the cultivation of the spirit. Let us highlight the brilliance of the best scholars. Let us make unrestricted research, art, and critical thinking the horizon that inspires us to better ourselves. The universe of unrestricted opinion and research, of sound, well-informed criteria, of the constant desire to learn, is also populated by the work of Hélène Carrère. For decades, she intensely dedicated herself to her specialty, the history of Russia and the Soviet Union, and the lives of the most important figures who shaped it, so as to draw conclusions that would help us understand the world. Carrère strove intensely throughout her life so that hard work and perseverance might triumph, so that the humanities might be consolidated, so that the love of knowledge might prevail. How dearly lacking at present is her knowledge when analyzing the terrible, bleak news that defines Russian aggression against Ukraine. Dear laureates, I'm sure you will have already perceived the admiration and respect you arouse here in Spain, in addition to the affection with which we welcome you to Asturias. We take great pride in recognizing your work, and we are honored to have you here with us. Meryl Streep's career in films is interwoven with masterful performances that have made her one of the greatest actresses in the history of the silver screen. Both in comic and dramatic roles, she has brought life to passionate female characters who live intense, meaningful stories, as well to characters faced with sacrifices and painful abnegation, with choices that are impossible to make. And she has always done it with love and light, with absolute dedication, reflected in her every gesture, her every movement, in every inflection of her voice, consistently and truthfully, with talent and vocation. She has proved that once again this evening. In a subtle, constant and beautiful way, Meryl Streep has persistently left the indelible mark in her performances, as in her own life, of her unwavering defense of women, sometimes with a simple gaze, sometimes a shy smile or a tear, exhorting us to respect this vindication unreservedly, as she does, so as to persevere in the consolidation of women's equality, dignity, and freedom. Eliud Kipchoge, throughout his athletic career, has faced the most trying challenges, achieving outstanding triumphs that have made him one of the most legendary runners of all time. His achievements are the reflection of an attitude towards life that forges the greatest athletes, the constant desire to surpass oneself, and the healthy ambition to be ever better, to go even further. As Olympic, the ideals demonstrate so well through healthy, demanding sporting competition ruled by fair play. Thanks to his titanic efforts over the years, he has also come to learn the importance of sharing success, and above all, of ensuring that the most disadvantaged can also enjoy the same. And through the work of his foundation, he has become someone we not only admire for his incredible sports feats, but also someone we especially thank for this sense of solidarity that he shows. Haruki Murakami has masterfully managed to merge the Western and the Japanese worlds in his literary works, which these characters take place in disturbing, through also transparent, well-defined settings awash with music. Settings that are sometimes implausible and unreal, uncertain, nostalgic and intimate. These same settings are also peopled by his characters, whose actions are moved by strong feelings of doubt and love. Beings who fervently seek an explanation, an answer. Murakami has said that he makes a living writing things that people do not need, and that this, he claims, is little less than a miracle. We perceive in this statement the echo of so many thinkers and writers who reaffirm the significance that art, culture, and the cultivation of the spirit have for us all. The Drugs for Neglected Diseases Initiative, DNDI, as we know because of the acronym, makes a deep impression on us through its exemplary cooperation and clear-cut facts and figures. It attends to more than 1.5 billion people from the world's poorest populations in the planet who suffer from diseases for which there is not always an appropriate drug or treatment, carrying out extraordinary work in establishing research, drug development and distribution projects, clinical studies, and joint work with government administrations, universities, and also international research centers. In this organization, they believe that success in solving these problems can be achieved, above all, when those who have it in their hands, or at least have the capacity to act, come together to carry out truly useful actions. The fact that they manage to develop effective, accessible, and affordable drugs is a wake-up call for humanity as a whole. The scientific studies of Jeffrey Gordon, Peter Greenberg, and Bonnie Basler focus on the immense number of microorganisms that live in our body and play a decisive role in our health. Broadening our knowledge of communication between bacteria, their group behavior, and what the human microbiome, as it is known, the human microbiome is, and how it works in order to improve therapies, and also, among other issues, to enable the search for effective treatments against antibiotic-resistant bacteria. There is a serious public health problem, which requires the utmost attention. All three are also a symbol of how society becomes more humane by pulling projects, adequately financing research, and also fostering science. That is why we shall never tire of maintaining that scientists need the necessary means and resources to carry out their work with dignity. We are sorry that Jeffrey Gordon was unable to join Greenberg and Basler here today due to the sudden loss of his wife, Debbie. From here, we send him our affection and our deepest felt condolences. The non-profit organization Mary's Meals knows all too well the reality of neglect and inequality that we previously touched on. Those in charge of the organization are dedicated to feeding hungry children. And they do so every day in 18 countries, feeding almost 2.5 million school children. Because attending school is a necessary and essential condition in order to receive food. Again, Mary's Meals focuses on those who lack the most basic necessities, offering them opportunities for the future and helping them carry out their lives with dignity. Its founder, Magnus MacFarlane Barrow, whom we wish gets well soon, firmly maintains that it is senseless for people to be dying of hunger in today's world. So this ever so admirable and deeply humane work should be emulated worldwide so as to ensure that eating and learning, so basic and necessary for every living person, are not so hard or even extraordinary to achieve in so many places of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, as the Princess of Asturias has just told us, she is at an important moment in her preparation to fulfill her institutional obligations. On October the 7th, in the General Military Academy, alongside her fellow cadets, she took an oath to serve Spain. And on the 31st, this very month, having come of age, she is to swear an oath of allegiance to the Constitution before the Spanish Parliament, an act of tremendous institutional significance, historical symbolism, and personal commitment. As she takes these steps, the Queen and I, as both monarchs and parents, are deeply proud of her sense of duty, her dedication, and the enthusiasm with which she faces her future. And this is also how her sister, Infanta Sofia, makes us feel, who also proceeds in her preparation, acquiring knowledge, values, and experience to serve and to help others. We are especially happy that they wish to share with the generation the messages, example, and excellence that our laureates represent and transmit. Today, ladies and gentlemen, by praising the work of all of them, we take a step closer to that world that we so need and long for, built of the will to do good, of people who are a bastion of civic and moral values, and who work each day to help solve some of humanity's most serious problems. We all had the hope at the beginning of the 21st century of living in a more peaceful, more stable, more orderly world. However, much to the regret of us all, this is not the case. This 21st century has brought us the terrible return of war, of armed conflicts in the bleakest, most brutal versions, as well as a sense of vertigo owing the risk of such conflicts spreading, as if the grave lessons of a not-so-distant past had been forgotten. Clashes proliferate once again, causing genuine tragedies of extreme magnitude and global scope, full of horror and devastation, that ignore and disregard the lives, the dignity and human rights of millions of people. At a time when the conflict in the Middle East is once again causing such heartbreaking suffering, I think it is important to recall here that the Foundation jointly conferred the 1994 Award for International Cooperation jointly on the Prime Minister of Israel, Isaac Rabin, and the President of the Authority of the National Palestinian Authority, Yasser Arafat. This recognition was due, and I quote the minutes of the jury, to their decisive efforts aimed at creating the conditions for peace in that region, following the process initiated at the Madrid conference in October 1991, which should lead to the definitive pacification of the Middle East. A peace that needs to be nurtured, upheld and defended, as a year later, His Majesty King Hussein of Jordan highlighted receiving the award for Concord. For this is the only way to guarantee a better future, a secure future for all humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, within this context, as I have mentioned, of wars and armed conflicts, geopolitical tensions intensify, and time again put the international order and its rules to the test, questioning the consensus needed to maintain said order. However, in addition, as a result of all this instability, economies suffer with very harmful effects for everyone, but especially for the most vulnerable. This shift takes us away from the noble idea that nations, humanity, must provide one another with guarantees of respect and security, and that we need to cooperate seriously, profoundly, and sincerely to address the world's major challenges. But the shadow also spreads over democracies, over the principles and values that inspire and guarantee our coexistence. Their fragility is a reminder not to fall into the trap of indifference. Our laureates have advised us of this on this very stage and have told us on many occasions that we must defend them and do it firmly and tirelessly. In these times that we live in, taking into account all the challenges that we have to face, it is time now for the greatest sense of responsibility. It is always true, of course, but in these circumstances, this duty must be taken to the extreme. Peace, the economic and social well-being of millions of people, and the preservation of democratic values demand we do so. For all this, on days like today, we have to be especially aware of everything that we have achieved as a nation, of everything we have built and made to prosper with so much effort. We have to be especially aware of how necessary it is to conserve and uphold all this from what could undermine it, and that we must take care of all that as much as we can in our history. Our problems are many, and the solutions will come, as has always occurred and the history of Spain demonstrates, via unity, never via division. When we stop to read or listen carefully to what the laureates tell us, we see that they always highlight the value of work in common, of shared projects carried out with the enthusiasm, the talent, and the loyal efforts of many people, all very different. If we wish to build something that transcends, that is meaningful, the collaboration and the commitment of everyone is more essential than ever, as also is the will to integrate if we wish to build something solid, lasting, and permanent. It is via union, via group effort, and supportive attitudes that great works are built. It is how answers emerge that will actually allow us to move forward. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to finish by once again turning to our laureates. the constant and fruitful work to improve the life of others, to help and protect the weakest, to elevate culture, and to be a guiding light. This is all both exemplary and essential. When so many things seem to be so difficult to solve, we need to continue listening to their voices and to continue learning from them. Strengthening what unites us will allow us, no doubt, to continue tracing our history and cast light on the paths that we are to tread. In this way, we shall be able to face the future with greater confidence, with well-founded hope. Of that, I am convinced. Thank you very much.
Con la venia de sus majestades, hacen su salida los excelentísimos señoras y señores galardonados con los premios Princesa de Asturias 2023.
El acto de entrega de los premios Princesa
I
de
hereby
Asturias
declare this
2023
act
terminado
adjourned,
y, por tanto, quedan
and
convocados
the call
los premios Princesa de
for the
Asturias 2024.
2024 awards is announced.